It's noon here in Ventnor City, New Jersey, and our nation's capital. And this is CarEdge Live for Monday, November 11th, Veterans Day. With a salute to all our veterans out there, with your host, me, Ray, and the good-looking kid, Zach. How are you today, handsome? People
Doing
hate
well.
I do that. You know that?
I don't know. It doesn't bother me. I appreciate that you think I'm good looking, Dad. Thank you to everyone who served. My grandfathers, both of them served in the Army. So thank you to all the veterans out there. Excuse me. We have a connection in our lineage to that as well. So thank you to both of my pops for all that they did during their time of service. If you want to take a second, Dad, you want to talk about your dad and mom's dad?
Well, in my dad's course of service, he was a dentist when he went into the military. So, he took care of fillings and keeping smiles on the soldiers' faces. And Pop, I don't know exactly what Pop did, but he did it.
Pop was in the military. I remember at his funeral. It was very beautiful. It was wrapped in an American flag. But yeah, Pop had war stories. That's for sure. Folks, today's show is brought to you by CarEdge.com. I want to show off something brand new, guys. CarEdge.com. If you go there right now, search cars. Dad, you're thinking about buying a Subaru?
I am.
There you go, man. Type in Subaru. What are you in? You're thinking about a Crosstrek, aren't you?
I am.
Boom. Now you can go instantly to the car search for the Subaru Crosstrek, or you can go to the overview right here, Dad, which takes you to our research page. So congratulations to the team just this morning, getting a new search up in the top. Still iterating on it, but there you go. Trying to get access to information more easily. Dad.
Can I say one thing?
You can say one thing.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That really is.
Dimitro on the team designed it. Prajakta on the team built it. Congratulations to both of you. We really appreciate your efforts. Dad, the big secret is out. All right. The ugly secret just got leaked, and it's here in the Auto Market Weekly Summary from Cox Automotive. I'm going to come right down here, Dad.
Yes.
Fleet sales saw a mixed performance. Rental fleet sales up 52.5% year over year. Commercial fleet sales down 7.6%, and government fleet sales up 8.7%. The estimated fleet share of 13.9% was down compared to last year's share of 15.9%. You and I have talked about this for a long time here on this channel, Dad. There is an off-ramp for oversupplied new cars, and it's called fleet sales, okay?
Yeah.
Fleet sales go to governments, to rental car companies, to commercial fleets as well. We are now seeing, Dad, a decline in fleet sales, all right? Fleet sales used to make up 16% of all new cars sold. Now it's 14%. This is kind of the ugly secret that all these automakers have, especially some of the domestics. Thinking about like Stellantis that sells a lot of their vehicles fleet. When those fleet customers stop buying cars and your commercial customers, your direct-to-consumer customers stop buying cars, that's a bad mix, man. That's a very bad mix, and that's what's happening.
The manufacturers depend on a decent sized percentage of fleet sales. And we knew during the Biden administration that the hope was, from their perspective, that whatever governmental fleets were going to be purchased in the future would be EVs. We suspect, moving to the Trump administration, that won't be the same emphasis, which could be beneficial to the legacy automotive manufacturers, because it will allow them to continue making more ICE vehicles for the foreseeable future and not have to worry about trying to build EV fleet sales for the government.
Interesting. So I know I sprung this on you, but I had no connection to that whatsoever. That was not where my mind went at all when I saw this, Dad. So your mind goes to less fleet sales. You think about the incumbent president's focus on EVs and an incoming administration's focus not on EVs. I don't know how you got there. I go to, there's an oversupply of new cars, 2.81 million new cars in inventory nationwide, the highest it's been in a long, long time. And the off-ramp has been fleet sales. And now fleet sales are drying up. I just think it's continuing to demonstrate buyer's market. So you got to help me understand how you got to where you're at.
But my point is, we know that all the legacy manufacturers, when they're producing EVs and selling EVs, that they are losing quite a bit of money on every EV that they sell. EVs are not profitable for these legacy manufacturers. So if they no longer have to worry about selling EVs to, say, the federal government, then they can concentrate on selling fleet vehicles and retail customer vehicles that are ICE vehicles that don't cost them money, that don't lose them money with every sale. So I see it with a change in the presidency. I see it as almost a life ring, a lifesaver being thrown to some of these manufacturers, that they won't have to spend as much money on developing EVs for the government. That doesn't make any
interesting.
sense.
You and I just read this entirely differently. Also, we talk about EVs way more than I actually like on this channel, Dad, because EVs make up such a small percentage of vehicles sold. I just put up this Edmunds article from earlier this year. We're talking less than 10% of the vehicles sold in the United States are electric vehicles and plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. So I don't know, man. You and I actually read this very differently. I look at it. I don't see any connection to electric vehicles whatsoever in this. I don't see any connection to the election results from last week in any of this. I see a market, Dad, where Stellantis, Ford, General Motors, brands that heavily rely, Kia as well, heavily rely on fleet sales to obviously federal government, state governments, but actually rental car companies are a huge, huge buyer of these fleets. They are no longer interested in purchasing these vehicles. They're saying, you know what? Our lots are full. We're good. We don't want to buy any more of these vehicles, which is the off ramp. It is the the switch that these automakers can flip to get rid of inventory, and they no longer have it. So I don't know. You threw me for a big loop on this one.
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to throw you for a loop. It's just I extrapolated something different from this than you did. Doesn't mean you're wrong and I'm right. Doesn't mean I'm right. It doesn't mean I'm wrong and you're right. I see where you're going, and yes, what you're saying is that with fleet sales down, that these manufacturers are going to have to become more reliant on regular retail customers.
It's even more pressure, right? It's even more pressure on the automakers,
which ultimately should mean, one would hope, that they will be forced to lower prices to get more people into the market, so that they can broaden the pool, so to speak, as to who they can sell these cars to. We know, so I'm going to tie it all up for you. We know that they have contracted that market. They have been happy to only appeal to about 15 to 20% of the buying public out there to buy their new vehicles. Now, with fleet sales going down, they should be forced to have to broaden that market, which means we're going to see prices go down. It also should mean that we should see manufacturers starting to produce more lower priced vehicles moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest.
I think that's what you were getting at.
Yeah, which, to be clear, Dad, that's the big secret, right? Most people don't know. Most of our audience, Dad, who are not auto industry experts, they come to CarEdge because they're looking for help buying a car. Okay? Yes. That's why people come to CarEdge. We get it. The big secret here, folks, is that there is an off-ramp for oversupplied inventory, and it's called fleet sales. And that has been tapped into, and now the well is running dry. That's what the data shows. And we also can demonstrate that with the incentive spend. We have the latest data on incentive spending, Dad. Let me pull that tab back up here. Give me 1 second. We know average transaction prices have remained about flat, but it's right above my head. Manufacturer incentives increased by 6.3% month over month to $3,708, up 60.8% year over year, with the average, let me scroll down on the page here just a touch, with incentives as a percentage of the average transaction price rising to 7.7%. So I come back to, Dad, the secret here, the storyline here, maybe there's efficacy to what you're describing. There probably is. We could have like an intellectual dialogue about different presidencies and administrations and impacts on fleets. The big meaty story here for us in our community, Dad, is that this is another demonstration of buyer's market, and the off-ramp, the offshoot for oversupplied inventory, it's going down and incentives have to go back up. To me, that was what was, when I saw this data, alarm bells were going off in my head.
To utilize your tapping method there.
Yeah.
Let's just say in the past, when there was too much inventory, the manufacturers could tap into their fleets. Yeah. And now, kind of like the UFC, some of the fleets are tapping out. Okay. Hey, come on, I'm tying it into sports and everything for you. So they're tapping out. They're saying we have enough. We buy another fleet vehicle from you. It's going to put us to sleep. So no, I get what you're saying, and ultimately, I think between the two, between fleet customers changing what their buying patterns are, and the government ultimately moving away from fleets having to be EVs, that I think ultimately we'll see more ICE vehicles available at a cheaper, let me finish, at a cheaper price point that will be good for a broader perspective of the American public.
All right, let's keep it moving. You and I just do not see eye
I
to
thought
eye on
I
that
tied
one.
that all together pretty well with a damn bow on top.
I don't know. We can talk about it. We can obviously talk about it on the show. We can also talk about it off the show. I don't think everything has to come back to powertrain. I don't think everything has to come back to powertrain or changing administration. I think some of the trends that we're seeing, Dad, are bigger than that. And I don't think actually, like, again, the fact that EVs make up EVs and plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, like they are less than 10, like 1 in 10 cars sold. Like it's actually
I get
not that big of a deal.
I get that. I mean, and if you do the math, that would be about 1.6 million that will be sold. I get that, but that number's going up every year. Okay, whether people like it or not. So, yeah, okay. I don't want to harm because I'll just get you aggravated, and I don't want to get you aggravated.
From Mark here, it's not about getting me aggravated. We're just, it's a good discussion. From Mark, thank you, Mark. We really appreciate it. Very generous and very kind. Happy Veterans Day to all of the CarEdge members who served and all of our patrons that served. Yeah, thank you to everyone. Today's an important day. We don't get it off here at CarEdge, but obviously banks are closed, government's closed. So it's a good day to remember all those that have served and the sacrifices that have been made for our country. So thank you to those people. Kind of unfathomable to me, the idea of wars and God. Yeah. So thank you to the people that my grandfathers who served. From RA, we'll bounce back from thinking about some fairly sad things to thinking about
some dancing. Gene, the dancing machine. Ray, your dream maker. Yeah, buddy. Here. Okay, that's enough of that.
All righty. We've got some used vehicle information as well from Cox Automotive. So let me pull down here. Data on October, used retail sales volume showed an upward trend, while certified pre-owned sales experienced mixed changes and wholesale vehicle values continued to decline. Used retail sales estimates based on vAuto data indicate that volumes were up 2% in October compared to September, with volumes up 11% year over year. Used vehicle prices, Dad, wholesale vehicle values declined 0.1 of a point in October on a seasonally adjusted basis. They're down 3.2%. From a year ago. If you unadjust everything, you're down 3.7%.
And that's not enough. That is not enough. And the reason it's not enough is because there's still, to some degree, a shortage of high quality, low mileage, younger pre-owned vehicles, because there's a shortage of lease returns because there was a dearth of leasing 2 and 3 years ago.
I mean, you look at this data and you look at what we were just looking at a second ago with regards to new cars, because let's be clear, fleet sales are only new vehicles. Fleets are not buying used cars. They're buying new cars. It could build the case for support for why you would buy a new car right now as a better value than a used car. So let's reflect on the data we just looked at. Fleet sales are drying up.
Yes.
The incentives that are going out on new cars are going up. They're up to 7.7% of the average transaction price is being incentivized by the automaker. And used car prices have actually kind of stayed flat, but wholesale have gone down, but not a lot. So like there's a case for support here for why you buy a new car instead of a used car, isn't there?
Well, there is. And one thing to remember, I know you said, fleets only buy new cars. There was a time not too long ago when there was a shortage of cars to be had, and rental car fleets couldn't get new cars. So they were buying up and bidding up the prices on young, low mileage pre-owned cars, which is what caused the spike in wholesale values to be as high as it was. But yes, we're back to them not having to buy pre-owned cars for the rental fleets, and they can just be buying new cars for those rental fleets. I would hope, and this is just a hope. I don't really suspect it's going to happen.
Hmm.
I would hope used car prices would continue to go down, but I don't think they're going to go down significantly. I believe in my heart of hearts
Hmm.
that we have we used car prices will be somewhat stabilized for the next, I think, few years,
Yeah.
because of that shortage of lease returns. Um, so, yeah, maybe we'll see a 3 to 4% decline every year, but that decline used to be much greater than that. And don't forget the growth in wholesale values of pre-owned cars spiked so high that, I mean, they were up what, 50% that one year, and they've never really given most of that back. And because of that, um, prices both on the wholesale and retail side of things for pre-owned cars will probably remain somewhat high for the foreseeable future, in my opinion.
Could continue to create opportunities for new cars as these automakers continue to face pressure. We saw it in all
Yes.
the earnings calls, both from the automakers and the dealers. Pressure is being felt, and then you have fleet sales not showing up the way they used to. That does create more need for incentives, which again, all the data is backing that up. I want to remind everyone back at CarEdge.com, my dad and I started this company almost 5 years ago. So much good stuff. Car search, all of our free research tools. If you need help buying a car, we have a car buying service, as well as our car buying tools, our warranty products, sell a car, refinance, insurance, and then the brand new thing, this car search up here in the top right. Dad, give me another one, baby. Name one. Come on.
How about a Mazda CX-50?
Mazda CX-50. Oh, CX-5? Hey, CX-5. I'll have to double check why the CX-50 isn't showing up, but there you go. Mazda CX-5. You want to go look at those for sale, new ones, used ones. Go to the overview page, view all the Mazdas that we have. You can do that all from CarEdge.com. Really impressed, and now need to create a bug ticket for the CX-50 not being there, but the CX-5 being there.
So sorry, but these live things that we do give us an opportunity to see how well the website works or doesn't work, and so it's a real user opportunity here to get on the team and hope make things to better.
Yeah, that's
Hope
what
to
we're
make
all
things
about.
better.
Now
Yeah.
let's come here from Michael, and then we're going to switch gears to another story. Thank you, Michael. Very grateful for your contribution. God bless our veterans. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I think EV sales will continue to decline, other than perhaps Tesla. Tesla will continue to be profitable due to the carbon credit purchases, but woe to all other electric vehicle OEMs. We didn't even talk about it last week, but some of the upstart EV automakers, man, they just keep bleeding money. And again, makes up less than 10% of all vehicle sales. So it's like, yeah, that could be a huge growth engine, but it's really still a small percentage of the market. And then obviously it's very, very, very expensive. These are not affordable vehicles for most people, with the exception, obviously, of Teslas. There's some Tesla. You get a used Tesla for 20 grand, Dad. So I mean, there's some more affordable options out there. But yeah, definitely some challenges ahead in the in the near future for those that have leaned into electric vehicles.
I know a lot of blame has been placed on the current administration, but you got to realize that manufacturers were buying into EVs long before 2020. Long before 2020, they had said they were going to invest billions of dollars because they saw what Tesla was doing, and they saw what was going on in China, and they saw what the movement towards EVs more so in Europe than certainly in the United States. But hopefully many of the manufacturers will get sort of like a reprieve where they won't have to be moving forward as quickly as they thought they would have to.
We'll see.
Yeah.
There is one automaker, Dad, that's getting excited about 2025. And yes, about their electric vehicles. Ram is building momentum heading into 2025 under new CEO Christine Fuel. I hope I pronounced your last name correctly. Dad, Ram, they have an incredible oversupply, and we can check this out back on CarEdge.com. An incredible, let's do Ram 1500, an incredible oversupply of new vehicles in the United States right now. I don't
Yeah,
like
but
how that one.
they've made tremendous um, 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 what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not sure the word. They have improved their inventory levels dramatically, according to that article. Um, I'm not sure they've improved them enough, and I'm not sure the momentum that the dealers suddenly feel like 6 weeks after they wrote a public letter to Carlos Tavares. I'm not. I think that's a very rosy article that was written that might not be as true as the headline would suggest. Is there some momentum because Ram sales have picked up? Yeah, they had no choice. Okay, they finally had to subsidize those damn vehicles to get rid of them. Is that the same type of momentum that is going to cause the American public that has so far said we're not that interested in EVs to want to then start buying, I don't know, Ram electric pickup trucks?
Because that's their
I'm not
big bet.
convinced of that.
That's their big bet next year.
Yeah,
Is they've got the electric versions of their pickup trucks. And again, I just pulled it up on the car search. You can see there's 55,000 for sale nationwide right now. And I haven't even gone ahead and searched, by days on market. We could look at
yeah,
those that are just over 200 days on market, of which there are 6,665. So these Ram pickup trucks are not selling particularly well. And then you're getting momentum back. Yeah, because you have to incentivize the hell out of them,
yes.
only to have now electric vehicle variants coming out next year, which is, again, an area that represents less than 10% of vehicles sold. And it is growing. Don't get me wrong, it's growing. But look at their peers, Ford F-150 Lightning. I don't know if that's really who I'm going to be. Ford's
I
having
don't
to
know.
actually beg their dealers and pay their dealers to take on F-150 Lightning inventory. Not a
And
good
have
look for Ram.
and have suspended production
And have suspended production through December of this year. Yeah, so
until January 6th. So yeah, I mean, is next year the right year to bring out that Ram EV pickup truck? I don't know. I kind of sort of doubt it.
yeah,
You know, and they won't be cheap. So
no.
hey, momentum's a wonderful thing, and it can evaporate in an instant.
All right, Dad, we've got here from Saeed. Thank you, Saeed. We love insights from those that work in the space. I work for a municipal fleet, 500 plus vehicles. We never used to have anything older than 5 years. Now we have 7 to 8 year old trucks. We are ordering a lot more engines and transmissions now. Not all are buying. There you go. Another example of
Okay.
a fleet, a municipal fleet, 500 plus vehicles, holding on to vehicles longer. Go rent a car, folks. See if you can find one that's got even more miles, been in service even longer. We have seen more and more of that. And again,
Yes.
that's a big secret. Okay. That's a big, most people don't think about, most people don't care about, but fleet sales representing previously 16% of new vehicles sold in the month of October. This year was only 14%, and it's been declining, specifically around commercial fleets as well. And that's
Yes.
a bad sign. It's a bad sign when you have supply growing and you've got multiple demand, forms of demand, consumer demand and fleet demand. Consumer demand, we know, has been shaky. That's why we always look at incentive spending, and that's going up. Now fleet demand is looking shaky. That's a pretty devastating 1-2 punch for automakers.
It is indeed, and we know that they have to broaden who they can sell new vehicles to, and they're not going to broaden that group of people by bringing out, I don't know, $60,000-$70,000 electric pickup trucks. That's not how you're going to do it.
Right,
You're
because
you're going to
Let's be very clear. Ram has already demonstrated, Stellantis has already demonstrated that you can ostracize and push away your core customer just
yes.
by jacking up the prices, not even changing the powertrain to one that they didn't ask for, just by jacking up the prices. Now we're going to do both at the same time. Let me know how that goes, folks over at Stellantis.
Well, the good news is it'll give us something to talk about for years to come.
Years to come. Dad, let's go to our favorite segment of the show.
Really? You've got to be kidding me.
Got this email today, Dad. Hi, Zach. Let me say I really appreciate the videos you and your father make. I need your advice. I'm considering buying a used car from Utah. I live in South Carolina. Could you please review the Carfax I received? Would you purchase it? If so, what price would you pay? It's also important to know that my credit union will not approve me for an auto loan because of my DTI, my mortgage payment, which my husband pays. My credit score is 813 and I earn $43,000 annually. I looked at the Carfax, Dad.
Yes.
The 2020 Lexus RX 350. It's got an accident on it. It's got 70,000 miles on the odometer. I looked it up on CarEdge. It has a $33,000 asking price.
Wow.
This is not intended to be shaming this community member. This is a moment of opportunity to talk about how much car can I afford. If you're making $43,000 a year, Dad, really, you've got to be kidding me that you're buying a $33,000 Lexus that has a prior accident and 70,000 miles on the odometer. That's a bad decision, correct?
It doesn't sound as wise a decision as someone could make. It is $43,000 a year is what, $3,500 a month approximately, net. So if you utilize my 10% rule of you should put no more than 10% of your net earnings towards your automobile, that would mean that you should put no more than $350 a month towards your new vehicle or any vehicle. If you could buy this vehicle for $32,000 plus fees, with fees, it's going to be somewhere around $35,000, $36,000. How long would one have to finance that in order to get a payment of $350 a month or less? So no, it doesn't. It doesn't sound like it would fit into the 10% rule. The minor accident, depending on how minor it is, that might not scare me so much. The fact that it has 70,000 miles on it, and as good a vehicle as Lexuses are, and they are for the Japanese imports more expensive to maintain than their competitors. So if you were to look into what it costs to maintain a 70,000 mile Lexus, that might be another reason to be thinking of something else. And not to be self-serving, but you could probably get some of that information at CarEdge, in our research hub, where you could find out what expected maintenance costs are for that type of vehicle, when you could expect a major expense, a major breakdown. But I just know from having been in the business that Lexuses tend to be a tad bit more expensive to maintain than, say, a comparable Acura or a comparable Mazda. Just saying.
There you go, folks. I went to it just on CarEdge.com/research, typed in Lexus, then RX 350, clicked on cost of ownership, then clicked on maintenance. Yeah, you can see it all right here, all this information. So anyway, yeah, maybe not our best, really. You've got to be kidding me. But I think an important moment to recognize, you can really bury yourself in a car loan, and you shouldn't. You don't need to. Like, maybe you can get approved for 84 months on a car note, but don't.
I don't think it was a really, you got to be kidding me, as much as it was a really, we need to make a better, more well-informed decision as to what it is we want to buy and how much it is we're willing to spend.
All right. Well, then we've got a legit, really, you've got to be kidding me, that we can follow that up with, Dad. And this one comes by way of another father-son duo. I'll pull this up on the screen. Give me 1 second here. This is a hell of a story, folks. Wait for it. Carvana's CEO's father, Ernest Garcia II, sees $1.4 billion windfall from stock sale. Dad, I just want to, before you dive into this, I hope I can deliver something similar for you someday, man. 1.4 billion. I would, even if it just said 1.4 thousand, 1.4, 10,000. Like, dude, we don't need billion. Drop the B, drop the M. Doesn't have to have that. Holy cow.
Well, I don't think you'll ever be able to produce that for me because I don't own any stock. So I got nothing to sell. But the Garcias own about 80% of the stock, and they got plenty to sell. And they have been selling, at least the father has been selling since April. So, uh, yeah, really, you got to you bring it back from death row, from the brink of bankruptcy. You produce profits that no other company, when it comes to selling used cars, has been able to produce. Staggering how high they are. The investors are thrilled, and they have bid that stock back up to the moon. And you, while they're doing that, are selling your stock so you can rake in the cash. Sounds like the perfect plan to me. I only wish I could have done it myself.
Yeah, seriously, man. Absolutely incredible. All right, folks, again, friendly reminder, if we can help you out with anything, our company is CarEdge.com. We got the car buying service. That's the page I'm on right here. Research, everything's free under here. Dealer reviews, depreciation comparison, lease deals, car rankings, calculators, verified deals. See what our concierge team has been able to negotiate and what others in our community have been able to get as for deals, all the rankings. I don't know, man. There's just so much stuff. Go check it out back at CarEdge.com. If we can help you out with anything, we'd be thrilled to. Dad, let's do it again tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. Mountain time. And yeah, we'll find something to talk about, I am sure.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to it. In the meantime, I'm looking forward to my salami sandwich that I'm about to have.
Enjoy that, Dad. I love you very much.
I love you too, handsome. I'll see you tomorrow.